Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Ohio Century Farm. So during the winter months, things kind of slow down for us. There's no field work being done, and all the cattle are off the pasture and into the barns. So I thought I'd give you some history of the farm, how it got started, and where we're at today. And then I'll give you a tour of the farm. So it started way back in 1897 when my great-great-great-grandpa purchased the farm. It was about a 75-acre parcel of land at the time, and he gifted part of it to his son for him to start farming. That would be my great great grandpa. So they grew large gardens, hay crops to feed the animals over the winter time, grain crops to make their own feed, and then whatever extra grain they had, they sold it. And they raised their own animals for meat. So everything was done on the farm. Everything from butchering their own animals, putting up their own hay crops, and harvesting grain. When the land was purchased, there was an existing farmhouse and barn on the property. My great-great-grandpa lived in that farmhouse and raised his family there. Eventually, the farm was passed down to his kids and on down the line. Sometime in between my great-grandpa and my grandpa, the farm was eventually just rented out to a local farmer. All the animals were gone off the farm and no one was currently living here at the time. In about 2007, my parents inherited the farm and started to farm it again themselves. They started off with a few beef cattle, a few pigs, and some chickens just to grow for themselves. So over the next couple of years, just by word of mouth, people started hearing that we were raising our own meat. So they asked if we would raise some for them as well. We already had the land at the time, so it wasn't any trouble for us to add some more. So we gradually increased our herd, and about 20 years now, we are kind of like a full-fledged business. So pretty cool how that turned out. So everything that we do on this farm is all organic, meaning we don't use any pesticides, herbicides, fertilizers of any kind. All of our feed is non-GMO organic, and the seed that we plant is all non-GMO. We feel this is the best way to raise healthy, natural food. So this is the old barn. This is actually what my great-grandpa used to call the new barn. This barn was built in 1903. Sadly, there's a lot of these barns that are getting torn down or falling apart just because nobody wants to spend the money to fix them up, keep them up. Because in today's farming, they're just not usable anymore. So probably just that this one's still standing. So back in this part used to be where they kept the horses. Used to be a bunch of horse stalls back there. We've done quite a bit of change to it. Now we store most of our hay equipment in here. In the center part here is always open. I believe they used to store other equipment or so in there. So in this section here, there used to be another smaller stall. I'm guessing where they kept a couple of head of cattle. And then the middle part there was some grain bins where they stored grain for the making feed. And then the front part was more equipment storage. So now we primarily use this section for weaning small calves. As you saw, we had some cows that were freshening, so that works pretty good for them. So back 100 years ago, when they made hay, it was made loose, and what they would do is they would load it up on a flat wagon and bring it in the main floor here. And then what they had, this is one half of it, is they had two of these metal, I don't know what you call them, like hay forks or whatever. I don't know how well you can see this, but at the very top of this peak of the barn, there is a track that runs all the way across the peak. Still sitting up there, but there's a block and tackle pulley. What they would do is they would lower this forks down, pick up a load of hay off the flat wagon, and then hoist it back up, and then come over and drop it on the mow. So this is a 1941 Ford Ferguson. This was the very first tractor purchased on this farm. It was bought brand new back in 41. So that was officially when the horses left the farm. So I'm not sure if that was a glad day or a sad day, possibly both. Needs a little work, as you can see. One of these days we're going to get it fixed up and restored. It is a 4-cylinder gasoline engine, and I believe it is about a 25 horsepower tractor. So another cool feature about this barn is at the very top of this peak on the outside, it's no longer there now, but there used to sit an old windmill, and there was a shaft that ran down through the barn, or down the side of the wall there, and then it came out to this flywheel here, and I believe what they had is some equipment, like some feed grinders, some seed cleaners, and some saws or so. So that's kind of a cool thing. I'm not sure how many barns in the area had that. This is the only one that I know of, so it's kind of a cool feature. This has always been one of my favorite things about this farm. I'm still amazed about the construction of it. It was built without any modern equipment or cranes. So out here is our feedlot slash barnyard area. This is where we feed all the beef cattle for the winter. And then we have a little paddock out in the pasture that we kind of let them run out through there if they want to. Keeps them out of the cold and out of the mud. So this is my operation. Me and my brother started this in 2018. We started off with 4 cows. We didn't have any experience in milking. There wasn't any milking cows on the farm when we started. So it's kind of intimidating without any experience. But looking back now, I'm really glad we started it. My parents already had the customer base with all their other products that they were selling at the time. So we didn't have any problem that way. So I bought a few more herds over the past couple of years, a couple of farmers that were getting out of it. So now I'm up to milking 12 head, and 2 of my sisters help me out with the milking. So we do something a little different on this farm. We're not a conventional dairy farm. We don't have a truck come pick up milk. What we do is called a herd share, and it is the legal way of selling raw or whole milk in the state of Ohio. So pretty much how it works is the customer pays in and buys part of the herd, and then for how much they pay in, they get a share of the milk. So this is the milking parlor. We can fit 4 cows in here at a time, and we are all pipeline. So upstairs in the loft, we have a vacuum pump, and what that does is it puts vacuum on this PVC pipe. That comes down through here and puts vacuum on this jar here. It's called a weigh receiver jar, and then that goes out to our claw system. So we hook up the cows, and then the milk comes out, goes through the claws, and then comes through this pipeline, and then it comes back into this jar. And once this jar gets so full, it will trigger the transfer pump, and what that does is it pumps it through here and then into our bulk tank. So at the end of this pipe, we have a sock filter. This will swing up and over this tank here, and then from there it gets chilled, bottled, and then we take it back to our customer room. So our milk is either whole or raw milk, same concept. What that means is it's just filtered and then chilled. Nothing else is done to it. Conventional dairies, after the cow is milked, they pick up the milk, and then it gets transferred to a bottling company. And what it does from there, it goes through a process called pasteurization and homogenization. And what that does, the pasteurization means that the milk is rapidly heated to kill off the bacteria. Um, there's pros and cons to that. I'll give you my biased opinion. The pros is obviously it's more shelf stable. The bacteria count is obviously way down from pasteurization. The bad thing is it kills off a lot of good bacteria, so you kind of lose some of the health benefits. So that's kind of where I disagree with conventional dairies a little bit. So kind of happy that we're doing this way. Homogenization just means that the milk passes through screens or so, like breaks up the clumps of cream. That's why when you go to a store and you see cartons of milk, you don't see any cream separation. So in the springtime when we're milking or bottling or so, um, you can actually see there's probably a good couple inches of cream on the top of the jar. So this is our freestall barn. This is where all my dairy cows will spend the winter. And then as soon as spring comes around, we'll rotate them out through pasture. So next year's project, 2026, we're actually going to be adding on to this barn. We're going to be moving that whole wall out another 44 feet or so. In there, we're going to have some freshening pens, more feeder space, and probably a couple of calf pens. So pretty excited about that. This is our latest build. This is our hay storage barn. Also stored some other equipment here as we have space for it. We do all AI breeding on this farm, artificial inseminate. I've been having a little bit of trouble with my dairy cows either miscarrying or just not taking in general. So I've kind of narrowed it down to possibly having some mineral deficiency. So I've got an injection that I'm going to give them. It's pretty much a straight concentrate of minerals that they're lacking. So hopefully that'll increase our breeding chances. Hopefully keep them from miscarrying so often. All right, come on, Cam. Let's go. Come on, Cam. Let's go. Back. Well, thanks for letting me show you around. Hopefully that was a little bit entertaining for you. I'm sure we're not the coolest farm, but I'm still proud of what we do and hope to continue it on. So that's going to do it for this video. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.